Hey there, everybody. It's Taja Scott with Of Lace and Grace. Today I hear let go, let God. So it's all about our plans, right? So we make plans, life plans, career plans, family plans, all kinds of plans, right? And everything around us is changing. Everything around us is moving fast. The news, everything you watch on the news is devastating. We've got diseases coming and going and coming again. We've got so much that's going on around us. Meanwhile, everybody is trying to secure their bag. They're trying to secure their future. They're trying to make plans. They're trying to start a business. Everyone is trying to make money, invest securely, buy a home, set up retirement, a legacy for their children, even maximize their lives because of diseases and things that's been running rampant. They want to figure out, what am I doing with my life? Let me make the best of my life. Let me do everything that I can. Wars are ensuing. Hostility, racism, blazing, on fire. So the question is, what are you doing? Right? What plans are you making? What are you doing for yourself? That's what everybody's thinking. What am I going to do? What am I going to do with this time? What am I going to do if this happens? What am I going to do if that happens? What should I be preparing for? How should I prepare? Where is the place I should be preparing? There are things that I need to do because I want to stay on the front side of this thing. And that leads us into making plans. Now, sometimes the plans that we make are based on following a path that God has designed for us. And sometimes they're according to our own understanding. So basically, in a sense, they're really our own plan. Let me explain to you what I mean. So, very few times do we actually say, I don't care what God says, I'm just going to do what I want to do, Like, nobody really says that. I mean, like, back in the day, might have done that, like, I'll be all right, I'm just going to do this. But nobody really says, I hear God, I know what you're saying, and I just ain't going to do it. Like, I'm going the other way. Nobody intentionally sets out to say that or do that. But what we do is we justify it. We justify it by saying things like, well, God knows my heart. This looks like a good option. If I'm wrong, God will correct me. Now I'm just going to try it and see what happens. Does any of that sound familiar? On and on and on and on. And yes, there is truth in that. God does know our hearts. God looks at the heart. Yes, God will correct us when we get off path. He will guide us, as he said. He guides us skillfully and carefully with his righteous right hand. Yes. But here's the thing about it. This is still justifying things in our own head. Reasoning for the things that we want to do, which is in itself a type of manipulation. It is knowing that there is something that God is saying and wanting you to seek and wanting you to walk after. But instead of being steadfast and staying on that track and figuring out what it is a lot of times taking the easy way out. It is a lot of times saying, but this route also looks good. God, I could also do this. This is something that you also have equipped me with. But it's not saying that I am going to follow the divine will that you have, God, for my life. No matter what, come hell or high water. Like, I am going to follow this. And I'm going to seek you. That's the key. To find out what it is, rather than just going with the obvious choices. So here's what it looks like sometimes. Sometimes we're genuinely trying to walk the right path, what we believe God has for us. But then we come into a fork in the road. Which way, right? right, left, which way to go, up, down. And one way, as I said, seems to be the way that God is moving us in. But when we look at it from our current positioning, it looks a little bit difficult. Like we don't really want to walk that road. That's a lot. And we say that sometimes, God, that's a lot. And we got the other way that has its challenges too, but the terrain isn't as difficult to traffic. Like we kind of feel like we could even come up with a way like to do that. Like I got a plan of how we can. Okay, and if we go up this way and then I take that, okay, we can make this work. I had an instance the other day where I was going through and I was talking to a friend specifically about a situation very similar. And in it, I was talking about, the way that I can do this, and that. And then, you get stopped, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself here, but you get stopped. And then you look at it and you're like, but I don't understand because this way looks like God and this way. And it's like, if you can do all of this stuff in your own strength, then what do you need God for? How is that God's divine will for you? It's when you have no idea how this thing is going to work. You have no idea what to do. And all you have is the call of God. So that means you depend on Him to move your feet. You depend on Him to direct you. You depend on Him to say when to get up and go. You depend on Him to say, slow down right here, stop, we're going to wait for a second. You depend on Him to give the directive. You depend on Him supernaturally to open the doors and make it happen. Because in your strength, you can't do that. So, those are your two directions, right? The way that looks like, this could be God, but it's, I can work this out. And the other way is like, I know this is you, God, but I don't know how you're going to do it. That's the point. That's the one that I want to talk about today. So anyway, as I was saying, sometimes we take the other direction. Sometimes we say, well, this looks like God too, Maybe I'm a little confused about this. Maybe this is God. Maybe, okay, let's walk this route. And then you start hitting the roadblocks. You start hitting the signs. You start getting warning signs. You start realizing also this easier way is actually more challenging than you thought it would be. Like all of a sudden, what looked like easy sailing is not so easy anymore. And so our minds start saying, okay, this is the devil. Like, this is like, he's trying to stop me. I'm on my way to my destiny. He's trying to stop me. And like, pump your brakes. Stop for a second and like, let's look at this. Is it really the enemy? We're looking at warning signs. We're looking at things that God is saying, I didn't say do this. We're looking at a road that looked easy. Looked like the doors were open. Looked like the doors are open. We're walking through this. We've been looking for our open doors in this season, right? So we've been walking through this. The doors are open and we're going. Then we look and it's like no traction. Like we're doing and doors are opening and, relationships are being made and connections are being made and encounters. And we're doing something. You look up, you're like, but what progress has actually been made? Just spinning your wheels. It's not God. It's toil and you don't even know it because it's easy toil. It's something that you can do in your own power. And that is not what God is calling for you to do in this season. So now we got to stop and we've got to slow down, get quiet, talk to God and really examine these signs. You can tell the difference between a God warning sign and the enemy's blockage. It's not coming to harm you. It's coming to stop you, to slow you down, to bring you to a place where you got to stop and you got to convene with God. You've got to go back to God and you got to ask, what's going on? If it's things like that that's bringing you back to that, that's God calling you back in. He's calling the troops back in. Come here, let's have a huddle. Let's talk. And that's when it's time to let go and let God. So your back may be against the wall right now. You may have decisions to make, big decisions. Things are piling up against you and everybody's looking at you like, what are you going to do? And you could keep going. You could keep walking the path that you were walking. You could, the things that were once clear is now confusing, but you could still try to push hard, go hard, react big, make it happen on your own. Or you can stop and realize this is the time to bring it in, to take it to God, and to let go and let Him be God. And so what I was told during this time is slow down. And in some instances for us, it's stop altogether. Get quiet and listen. Watch, listen, wait. Watch, listen, wait. Watch, listen. Wait. And in that quiet, God will speak. He will give you the directives that you need. He will reveal to you the next step. So what does that look like practically? Practically, it means stop. Stop going in the direction that you're going in. Stop continuing with your plans. Stop talking to people to get advice. Stop looking at what other people are doing. Because this is about you. This is what God is talking to you about in your future, your destiny, your promise, your purpose, what He's calling you to walk in this next. And so what God has set aside, this is what God has set aside basically for you to walk in. And so in that, you've got to increase now. Increase your prayer time. Increase your quiet time in the presence of God. Increase your questions. Increase your questions to God. Increase your faith building through reading God's word. Introspectively looking at where you are, what's going on, what has He been speaking to you about that maybe you've been ignoring, or trying to steer the conversation towards what you want to talk about. Increase your praise. Despite what you see around you, increase your praise. Because just because you don't know where you're going, just because you don't know what is next, just because there are areas of uncertainty, doesn't mean that God is not still God, and doesn't mean that He's not still going to do what He promised to do. So your job in this, increase your praise. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Make sure you are consecrating yourself, separating yourself for time to fast, to pray. Fasting, when I say fast, for those that don't know or that don't do, this is really a time where you're denying yourself your, if you will, your pleasures, the things that you would normally do, the things that you would love to do. And you're like stripping everything down to the bare minimum. And you're stripping everything down to the bare minimum so that you can increase in your ability or your availability to hear from God. So that's be it food, that, and all the stuff that we love to eat and feel satisfied and lay up, somewhere after that, food, your hangout time, mindless activities, all that, those are things that are our pleasures. And so what we're doing is we are stripping ourselves down and not sitting in comfort and then trying to be like, let me hear God. No, when you can hear God? When you're sitting in need, when you're sitting without, when you've decided to do without and say, I don't need all those things to make me feel good right now. I just want to hear from you. And in that, yes, you will increase your availability because you're more available now to actually hear from God. It's basically what I call hanging out in the presence of God to gain the right perspective and the right understanding. So God says, be still. This is what this is. Our watching, our waiting. Our watching, our listening, and our waiting. This is God saying, be still. Be still and know that I am God. So why did he say this? There are a few times that he said this. He told us this in Psalm 46, be still and know that I'm God. And he also told them something very similar in 2 Chronicles 20. And this was a battle that was going about, that was about to come to pass against the king of Judah, which is King Jehoshaphat. And naturally, he was scared. Naturally, he didn't know what to do. Naturally, he had 3 kingdoms coming against him. 1 kingdom. And you're the leader. What are you going to do? This is what it looks like when your back is against the wall. When you don't know what's going on with the economy. When you just lost your job. When the family's looking at you like, what are we going to do? When the kids are in need. When you are in need. When bills need to be paid and everything isn't there. Where your body is sick or somebody else that you care for, their body is sick. And you don't know what this is going to bring. This is that. This is that uncertainty. This is that fear that creeps up sometimes. And this is what happened. But if you go and you read the story, the first thing he did is say, I don't know what to do, but I know who to turn to. And it's God. And I'm going to stop. I'm going to be quiet in his presence. I'm going to fast. And I'm going to hear from God so he can tell us what to do. And in that, he received his direction, his instruction. And really what that was a preparation that God had for them. And in that preparation, one of the first things he said was, position yourselves. Get in position. How many people know and understand that you could have everything, be equipped in every way and have everything given to you ready to go into what the next is. But if you're not standing in the right place, how's it going to happen? God has equipped you. He's been preparing you. He's trying to move you up in the line. And yet you're still standing back there. How will you ever get to use what he equipped you with? How will you ever encounter the right situation and the right people if you're not in position? How is what he is orchestrating to do in your life going to come to pass if you aren't there? Position yourself. The next thing he said is stand still. Be still. And know that I am God. I am all that you need. And I will take care of the situation. And you will see the deliverance. You'll see the salvation of the Lord this day. And they did. And that is what God is trying to tell us. Position ourselves. Stand still. And we will see the deliverance of the Lord in our lives in the way that we are looking for him to move. Not how we're looking for him to move, but in the way, in the things that we are in need of, in the things that are going to propel us to the place where God wants us to be. So don't go your own way. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to go in the path of least resistance. The path has already been laid out for you, and it's called God's way. Remember, he is saying, be still. Know. When it says know, it means like in your heart of hearts, in the most central place of you, in the deepest recess, in the deepest place of you, that center place where you know your name is your name. He's saying, be still and know that I'm everything that you need. Matter of fact, I'm exactly what you need in this instance. And you will see my deliverance through this thing if you allow me to handle this. So that's your instruction. For whatever it looks like in your situation, that's your instruction. And so now the question is, can you do it? Can you do it? That's really all I have for you today. That's what I heard, is let go and let God. Let go and let God. And in that, I heard, be still. So you can go and read that in Psalm 46. As a matter of fact, in your quiet time, which you are going to take now, right? In your quiet time, read Psalm 46, verses 1 through 11. Also, go and read the story, and it's very short, but it's very impactful, of Jehoshaphat and the kings that were coming against him and what he led the people to do for their victory. And that is in 2 Chronicles 20, verses 1 through 22. And lastly, we just know this because God has been speaking, Proverbs 16:9. A man plans his way, but God directs his steps. You may have your plans. You may be feeling like you have to have a plan, but understand that those plans, they're just of our minds. They're just of our thoughts. They're just in what we feel like is best. But how we need to walk and how God is desiring us to walk is in the steps that he provides for us. So remember, be still. How? How do we be still? How do we be still? By letting go and letting God be God. All right. I'll talk to you again soon. And in the midst of everything that's going on, just remember, we got to let God be God. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye now.